All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Game Changers podcast. We have a very special guest today, but before we get into the special guest, I have some very interesting news that happened in sports. First of all, I might as well just change my last name to McElroy because he's getting a divorce. So all I'm saying is he's
That's what
divorcing
you're
his
going to lead
wife.
off with is
Heck
absurd, but
yeah, that's what
okay.
I'm going to lead off with.
I
Doesn't it
like
just
it.
roll off the tongue really well? Sydney McElroy.
Just,
I'm just
I
saying.
guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Yes.
Oh,
I like it. Anyway, so, all of these sports events that I've worked before, I've always, you never know who you're going to meet. He met his wife at the Ryder Cup. He was running late to his tee time back in
he
2012
did,
and
and she set it all up for him to get there on time.
yeah,
Yep, I
yep.
remember.
And here they are.
You
So,
keep dreaming. Keep
love
dreaming.
it. Who knows? Speaking of the PGA, Luke and I went to the Myrtle Beach Classic last weekend, and there was a 16-year-old Blaze Brown from Nashville, Tennessee. 16 years old, and he finished 10 under. So, Luke, do you have anything you want to elaborate on that with? You know more about
No,
him than I do.
that was just an amazing tournament. I can't believe he was able to do what he did, and to have the composure to make the cut first of all, but to like contend on Saturday, which was quite cool. Like he was top 15, I think, at one point. I think he finished at 10 under, which is just absurd for a 16-year-old on a PGA tour. Um, and I we followed him on Saturday and Sunday, and I think he had the biggest galleries following him. So besides the fact that you're
Absolutely.
16 in a PGA Tour event, just having that and then having the biggest crowds, just I don't know how you do that.
Me
But
either.
no, he was very good. He's the number four AJGA player in the country, I believe. So he's played
Hmm.
in some big events. He's played in the USAM. Made it to match play, so he's very good. But I was quite impressed with how good of a player he is.
I completely agree. And honestly, being 16 and being this good so young, I hope that he kind of paces himself a little bit. He's
Hmm.
got a lot of raw talent, and I hope he just doesn't get burnt out too young because I think he's got a really, really, really bright, successful future ahead of him. So that was really fun to be a part of. Um, all right, my other news, obviously in my realm of the world, the Olympics are coming up in I don't know less than 100 days, and Simone Biles, Gabby Douglas, and Suni Lee, those who have won the Olympic gold medal in the past. Gabby, which was in 2012, you'd think that she would, I've been out of gymnastics since 2020, and I can't even imagine doing a back handspring right now. But girl is going to compete in an event. Each one of those gold medalists is going to compete in one event in the Olympics. So very excited to watch that. I'm excited to see. I haven't been following Gabby Douglas very much, so I'm interested to see like how she's changed, like body wise and I guess like skill wise. It's gonna be really exciting. But
Yeah.
that's the
She hasn't
little
competed in a while.
no. I mean, she won it back in 2012, which was over 10 years ago.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
should be
and
really
the
interesting.
fact that you're
I'm
still
kind of envious
trying.
of her.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of envious
yeah,
of the fact that she can still bend as she does. Um,
yeah.
and
I
my
my sports
final.
news. Oh, you can keep
Oh,
going.
go
Sorry,
for
go
it.
ahead.
No, go for it. Go
Oh
for it.
no,
I'm
my
ready.
sports news was there was a ejection yesterday, I believe,
Oh my gosh,
on
that was my final
the
sports
Astros.
news.
Yeah, on the Astros, Ronel Blanco got ejected for a sticky substance, um, and it was. I didn't see it live. I didn't see the how it all went down. I just saw it on Instagram today. So I was just weirded out how like this is like the fourth or fifth guy that's been ejected for sticky substance this year, and they know they do checks every inning, but there's ways around it, and I feel like they're ejecting guys for using sweat and rosin, which is legal and has been proven. I've done it where you can use your sweat and use rosin bag to make it really sticky, and it's like then they tell them to go clean their hand off with alcohol wipes, but then alcohol wipes and rosin and sweat make it even more sticky. So it's like it's to me they got to find another way around around it and figure out a new way to test for sticky substances, because finding a legal way and not using pine tar or spider tack to get a grip, I don't think it should be ejectable for doing it the right way. But yeah, that's my baseball news.
Yeah, I actually, it was so funny. I had the exact same news, so you took it. But I think our special guest would have some insight into that and the MLB and sticky substances. So let me be the first to welcome Dan Sarmiento to our podcast. Hi, Dan.
Hey guys, I'm surprised you got my name right. Usually I'm like worried people with my name. It's like it's pronounced as it's spelled, but people seem to mess it up. That was great. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we've both worked in enough gymnastics meets to get names wrong and right, and people say our name with the T, even though
Oh gosh, yeah.
there's no T in it.
Oh
So
yeah.
I've announced too
so
many
glad I got it
gymnastics
right.
meets, yeah, that where the names they pronounce are spelled one way and pronounced another way, and it's just like it's so annoying. But yeah, I've seen every name possible. But yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Yours is at
this is
least
just
spelled and
totally
pronounced
a,
phonetically.
It is.
this
That's the
is
good
true.
part
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is totally a side note, but like for those of you that are just listening to our podcast, Dan and Luke has his hair like kind of like I guess like flatter today. Luke and Dan have very similar hair. They are both
It
very
shows.
curly. Dan, is that your natural hair?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous.
Is yours
I wish
not?
I
Or
had
is
curls like
yours?
that. No, it is.
No,
It is.
mine's
It's
natural.
curly.
You can't
But
really
I
tell
just
that
Okay.
took
it's
it in. But
curly,
Luke's
but
is. Luke has a
I
perm.
have
No, he doesn't have a
really
perm.
No,
tight curls.
I get comments sometimes about like, oh, it's all perm or hair. Yeah. Like
No, no, no.
I didn't just woke up like this, but I
You're
think that's
like
kind
you're
of
just
common. It's like, oh,
jealous.
your hair's
Yeah,
curly.
people pay money to have hair. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
It's
Heck
true.
yeah, they
It's
do.
true.
All right, so Dan, where are you right now? Where are we finding you?
I'm in Los Angeles, California, in Westwood. So Westwood's like where UCLA is. So my roommate, who also works with me on our YouTube videos and stuff, he goes to UCLA still. So we live together. And then next year we're gonna get a house, probably still in Westwood, but like a house with a bunch of our other baseball buddies. So yeah, Los Angeles.
That is so awesome. So, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself. So, for those of you that do not follow, for those of the people listening that do not follow you, and obviously have been living under a rock until now, so you're welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I mean, I played baseball my whole life. Baseball was kind of always my sport. I was a pitcher, and I ended up doing like I graduated high school in 2021, and then did a post grad year at a school up in Maine, and then committed to a school in Southern California. So that whole year, I was already committed. I just had the whole year to just kind of pass the classes and just I don't know, do whatever I wanted. So I started doing YouTube stuff, podcasts. I always did YouTube videos, just never really baseball related until a few years ago, and then I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like baseball is what I do most of the time anyway, so might as well just make videos about it as well. So did the podcast, picked up some steam, decided to move to California, but not play baseball at the school I was committed to. It was like a D2 school out here. Then I just moved into an apartment and started like working full time on trying to grow the YouTube stuff. And I was at like I don't know 8,000 subscribers I think when I like maybe 10,000 when I dropped out of college, and then we're more today, which is good. So far it's been a good decision, but long road ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, wow, that's awesome. So, are you from California?
No, I'm from New Hampshire, so that's yeah. So I graduated high
Oh,
school in New Hampshire, then went to school in Maine, so it was like 2 hours away from my hometown.
okay,
California
gotcha.
was just kind of always like a pipe dream. Like I just wanted to live out here. Like I just love Southern California. LA was just sick to me growing up. So then I was like, ah, I'll just
Yeah.
move here.
What's it like now? Is it still kind of like living in a dream or not quite?
Sort of. It's like I mean, there's like really strong pros and really strong cons to living in LA, as you guys could probably imagine. Like, a lot of homeless people. Like, I walk outside, there's homeless people, which I'm like not used to in my small town in New Hampshire. Tons of
Yeah.
traffic, which sucks. Like, I hate waiting in
Mm.
traffic. I'm really impatient. But with that said, there's a lot of really cool people who live out here. The weather's perfect. The beach is right there. So like, there's like I said, strong pros, strong cons. I never really get bored here. There's always something to do. Plus, we travel a lot, and we live right near LAX, so like the airport's super close. So we can just hop over. It's not that hard to fly somewhere. We're usually somewhere every other week or so. So yeah, I like it. So far, I have positive reviews, but it's not for everyone.
That's awesome. Yeah, being close to the airport is kind of nice too. So you get to avoid heavy traffic. But LA is just, I mean, not being in traffic is more likely. Yeah,
Yeah,
we visited a few times, and I'm so impatient.
I was in
No
LA in
shocked.
January. It was to get from the LAX to where I was staying. It was supposed to only be like 40-minute drive. It ended up taking like 2 hours because of traffic, and it's nonstop traffic at any hour of the
dude,
day. Like
it's the
you,
worst when you
I
look at
could
Google
walk
Maps, just
faster.
red.
yeah, it's just red the
Yeah,
whole way.
yeah,
Yeah. And you
it's
think like
horrible.
being from the East Coast, there isn't like traffic all day, every day. It's usually like the morning when people are going to work and then rush hour when people are coming home. It's not every single hour you're going to find traffic, which to me it would drive me crazy. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
insane.
yeah,
you're a saint for that.
that's LA for you.
Yeah, again, strong pros, strong cons. Like I have to
Hmm.
remember, like at least it's sunny out when I'm sitting in traffic. It's like a nice day.
Yeah, at
So
least I have a pretty view. Yeah, meet the
yeah,
person
yeah,
next to me. Yeah.
hmm
So having such a strong passion for baseball, where did that when did that passion kind of shift into like I want to content create? Like what walk me through kind of like the decision making process of deciding to drop out of school and focus on your social media content and YouTube channel.
yeah. Honestly, like the content piece probably came first. Like I was like 11 or 12, and I just like found YouTube, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. Like I just spent all my time. Like I watched like Madden, NCAA 13, MLB The Show. Like that was just my NBA 2K. Like I'd either be playing video games or watching people play video games, and then just got into like Phase and all those guys, like the gaming groups, and just got really like enthralled with that. And then kind of took a back seat into my life once I started really going and hard with baseball and trying to get recruited and training. I was more focused on like watching baseball kind of videos and development and all that. And then yeah, COVID happened, and I was like, let me just like I need something to do. Let me start making videos again. This time about baseball because before I was making like video game little like commentary things like as a 14-year-old would, and yeah, just started slowly picking up traction. Like I took some breaks, so like I would do pretty well for a couple weeks, and I would stop, and then I would like try again, and I just have to pick up where I left off. But then once I got up to Bridgeton, I was like, I'm going to stick to a schedule and post either once or twice a week, every week since. So that's where we're at now.
That's awesome. And you have a lot of followers and a lot of MLB followers, which is so dope. Did that just kind of come with like posting more often? How did you get that networking and connection base?
The first MLB player I think that ever followed me was Lance McCullers. I remember seeing it because he had like 200K and he was verified, and I just saw it pop up, and I was like, "Yo!" I was on the bus with my boy Joe. We were doing the podcast with. I had like 8,000 followers, and I was like, "Bro, should I DM him?" Like, oh my god! And he was like, "Yeah, DM him." And I DM'd him. Was like, "Yo, big fan. Thanks for the follow, bro. Love to like have you on the pod." And he's like, "Yo, we're gonna be in like Boston in a couple weeks if you want to like connect." And I was like, "Yeah." So then we did an IRL like in person podcast with him 2 weeks later at some studio
That's
like near Boston University, at Boston University, right next to Fenway. So he Ubered, did the podcast for 2 hours, and then he just walked to the game after. It was
That's
crazy. It was like
crazy.
the coolest thing, bro. I was like, what is going on right
oh
now? He was just super chill. I think he just liked us because we were like young and like doing something
Hmm.
entrepreneurial, and he just wanted to like help us out. And I've like been in touch with him ever since. He's rehabbing an elbow, I think elbow or shoulder right now, so he hasn't been playing in a while. But he's a great dude. Like he's the really cool person. Like he knows like Travis Scott and like other cool people. So like I've started meeting really cool people who like are a few degrees of separation away from like insanely famous people. So like that's kind of cool because I can fanboy. But yeah, no, it's
heck
been
yeah.
I've been really lucky. Like I've connected with a lot of cool MLB guys who either want to be a part of content or have just seen our content. Like Alex Vesia is a good buddy of ours, Trevor May, like other people who are kind of in that content world to kind of like see what we're doing and
Hmm.
respect it. So it's been fun. Just every time, like if I see a notification from a big leaguer, I still am like, oh, like let's go. So I'm still like hooked on it.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
gosh,
but
I
yeah,
would too.
that's
I
a
totally
that's
would.
a that's a big first guy to just randomly start following you and then get on
I
the
know.
podcast. Like he was a, still is, but he was a Cy Young candidate for the first couple of years of his career when he was with Tampa. So that's like to start off with that just got the ball rolling pretty well. pretty quickly,
Yeah.
which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
And what a great
100%.
like marker to tell you like this is legit. Like I'm sure that when you got that follow, you saw the blue check mark and like instantly you were like, okay, so this is real. Like what I'm doing matters because I mean, Luke and I can tell you, especially with this podcast, is like we just started it and it's the process of waiting and building a brand. And even when we were younger, like trying to figure out what people enjoy is talk about being patient. It's a lot. I mean, you just don't know if it's gonna work out. And I'm sure seeing that was kind of like the icing on the cake. You just knew that it was doing what you wanted it to do.
Yeah, it's like all these little like small proof of concepts over throughout the way that kind of keeps you motivated. So like there's been really cool big successes, like that I've considered like a big video or like doing really cool events, but it's like the little things every few like weeks or months that are like, oh, like that's something I didn't expect to happen that happened because of me posting something online. So it's like just gotta just that reminds me a lot just of like why I'm doing it and like just to keep going because like it's the most random thing. Like Gary V DM'd me once, like a month and a half ago. You know Gary V,
Uh-huh.
bro.
Good
I'm just in
Lord.
my DMs and I'm like, what the hell, like Gary V, and it's just a DM from Gary V, 10 million followers. I'm like, this is right after the IMG video I posted, so it
Hmm.
was doing really well. And he's like, it just said, keep going, my guy, fire emoji, fire emoji. And I was like, yeah, I'll keep
That's
going. Like,
I
crazy.
I was
will.
like so shocked.
Oh
Yeah, I was
my
like, if
God.
you say so, Gary. I know that was like another thing. I'm just like, what is going on? So it just comes from like posting stuff online. People see it. People, if it resonates with them, like people will let you know. So it's really cool.
Wow,
Yeah. So
that's
my next
incredible.
question would is along the lines of what you're posting like now with the facility tours and that type of stuff. How does that come about and like how did that start? But then like do the head coaches or the administration of these teams do they email you or text you and ask you to come out and do a tour so that the world can know what their facilities look like, or do you reach out to them and just so you can have it on the channel?
Yeah, it started as like I wanted to do like what D Strong was doing
Mm-hmm.
or like T Jas was doing. So D Strong for football, Tristan Jas for I think it's Tristan Jas for basketball. Like he does these facility tours, but no one was really doing them for baseball. But I remember like going through recruiting growing up. You look up like Clemson facilities
Mm-hmm.
or like Vanderbilt's facilities, and like a lot of times you couldn't find it, or just the only ones you could find are like the massive schools, not like these middle tier like mid majors, small D1 or small like Power Five teams. So for me, it was just like we just DM'd a player on the team. I think the first one was like San Diego State, and maybe we knew him already. I think we're like, yo, like, can we do a video? And he's like, sure, yeah, like. Come. So we showed up with a camera. He showed us around the facilities, and right away it did really well for me. Which was it was probably like 2 or 3 thousand views in the first day, but for me that was like, oh, this is going viral. This is sick. So I was like, we got to do more of these. And so I did like a University of San Diego. Then we did some more local ones in SoCal, and it kind of was cool because it would like hit their little audience of like alumni or like parents of the team. So it hit like a niche kind of audience, and then they'd kind of tag along and see what else we're posting in the future. So that was cool. And then once we started like having that proof of concept again, then we'd start reaching out to operations, talking about doing like collab posts, seeing if we can like work on it together, spend the whole day there, fly out, go there, kind of thing. So that's when it started evolving into that, and then yeah, I don't even know. I think we've done like 25 or 26 maybe,
Mm-hmm.
all different kind of types of schools, which is cool. Like some do better, some do worse. Usually the name of the school kind of like makes a video do better, but I think for me it's also fun to still get like 80,000 people to watch like a small school that wouldn't really get love anyway, that we're trying to showcase their thing. And so maybe I've had a lot of kids come up to me and be like, yo, like I didn't know about this school, then I ended up reaching out to them and committed because of your video or something, which is like so cool for me. So like if I can't be on those teams as like a player, like as I would have wished to, it's cool to like
Mm-hmm.
make a little YouTube video about it. So yeah, we're just gonna keep running with that and hopefully making them bigger and better.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
it
like
also
the.
helps for the kids that like. I mean, Luke and I can probably, and obviously you like you hear from these schools, they reach out to you and they're like, hey, we want you, and what if you're on the other side of the country and you can't get there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna look up what their facility looks like. You're like, oh, their field's beautiful, but like what does their locker room look like what does everything look like? It probably helps recruits like no other, I'm sure. um
I hope
and
so.
like
That's like
I
the goal. Yeah, like I think so.
yeah, and the guys that reach out to you and are like, I committed because of you, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, again, it goes back to
Like,
that like little proof of concept. If someone DMs you, they're
right.
like, "Yo, like your video helped me with this." I'm like, I didn't. That was just like an extra side effect of something that I couldn't have planned in the
Hmm.
beginning. That just happens. So I'm like, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be the
Does
reason
that kind
someone
of,
goes somewhere is I feel like that would be mean more than like just telling someone about the school. Like if they say, "Hey, I went here because of your video, because of what you were doing," like I feel like that would just mean the absolute world to change someone's life like that.
It does. Yeah, it's really really cool.
um, kind of going along with that, like, what is that your reason? If someone were to come up to you and be like, why do you do what you do? Like, I can't imagine that it has been easy to kind of go against societal norms and be an entrepreneur and be successful at it so young. What would you say, like, to those people? Like, what is your reason? Why do you do what you do? And what gets you through waking up the next day despite it not being so-called normal?
Yeah, like something that helped me with a lot of clarity on like that question was like thinking about just every video. Like, would my 15-year-old self like watch this video and love it? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's like when I fell in love with YouTube. I was like 12 to 15, 16, and like the people I would watch, they were like cooler than athletes sometimes, or like they were at the same level, like big YouTubers like FaZe and all those guys. Like, if I would probably be more hyped about meeting them at 15 than I would have like Bryce Harper or something in some weird way, because I feel like I know them but I don't know them, versus just I'm like a fan of their abilities on the field. So for me, that's just kind of what I go back to. Like, would a 15-year-old version of me like be like, that's a sick video? Like, would it inspire me? Would it motivate me? Would it entertain me? Like, I kind of just go back to that and then just try to double down on that every time. So like, I have a few different types of videos we make. Like, we do like those challenges, we do the facility tours. I've done some like mini doc kind of stuff, and every video kind of checks a different box of like, why does it fulfill me? But they all check a box is like the point being. So like, some of it's like I want to say something creatively, that's why. Sometimes it's like I want to show the next generation of kids like, hey, what does Duke look like or whatever. And it's not always like that, like deep. Like, sometimes it's just like, oh, that's a fun video, we should do that, and then I try to like make a fun edit out of it. But other times it can check more boxes. But no, yeah, it's been really cool. Like, in like you say, like societal norms, like it was really weird. I remember like doing vlogs like at school, and I'd just be like talking to myself on my camera in the cafeteria, and I'd be like, I know everyone's looking at me right now. I look so stupid. This video is gonna get 500 views. Why do I look like an idiot? And but I just do it because I was like, this is gonna be funny on camera and be a cool moment. And then eventually everyone started catching along and like would want to be in the video because they would like, everyone would watch me. I did like game day vlogs, so they'd want to see the game day vlog after when we were traveling and stuff. So it became more of like a team thing. And then the podcast, we started reaching like a bigger like audience of just like random like baseball fans, like usually like younger kids or like teenagers who played baseball. And then slowly it has kind of like grown into just more general baseball content. But like, yeah, it all started just like awkwardly talking to a camera, which is kind of still is, but like it was even more awkward then.
Now you have more confidence, like, you're still awkwardly talking
I
to a
hope so.
camera,
Yeah.
but now you know that there are thousands and thousands of people on the other
Yeah. At
side
least I
that
know
will be
people,
listening
like
to
now I
you.
know people will watch it.
Hmm.
Will watch me
Yeah,
awkwardly talk instead of just no one. Yeah.
it'll be worth it. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have like a whole team of people that come up with ideas for your videos and content, or is that coming all from you? Like, do you have just a million ideas in your head that you're ready to
I mean,
create?
I have like a small team, so I have like a videographer who's like full time with us, but he lives in Phoenix, and then I have Leo, who's like our producer. I call him like executive producer. He like does the emails and sets up times and stuff, and makes sure like we have if we need an extra cameraman, we're all set up with that and like payment and stuff, and everyone's like just good to go. But yeah, like ideas wise, it's just me and Leo. Usually, we're just thinking of stuff. We see what's working on YouTube and try to like put our own spin on it. But like, this is kind of my life, so like I'm always thinking about it. So like, I'll just be in the gym or like going for a walk, and I'll be like, oh, that's a banger, we got to do that video. And over the next few days I'll like realize if it is a banger or not, and we'll just like follow through with it, or we won't. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
dumb idea. But it's just about like trying new things and seeing what works, and then like iterating on those ones that did work, and kind of like scrapping the ones that didn't work, or like changing something about it. But like, the newest video we did was because we were going to do like D1, we're gonna do baseball players versus softball players video. So we're gonna like do live ABs versus softball girls, like D1 at Fullerton. And we showed up there, and they're like, "Oh, we have the worst news. Like, we actually can't film this until after the season because of NCAA restrictions." We're like, oh, this is awkward. Like we had 2 cameramen we booked for the day. Like we're like, oh, this is not a good move. And then we just were like, we got to think of something to film on the way back. So we're like, let's just go to the Dodgers game and like think of a video like with what we could do. And now the video is like one of my biggest videos ever in the first like 4 days. It's like, what? It's like, come on, like why did that happen? It was like overnight challenge in Dodger Stadium, and it's really just us like it was seeing who can hide the longest until security kicked us out. So it really wasn't like overnight. It was more like last to leave challenge, but the thumbnail and title just like worked perfectly together. And it has like 600K in like 4 days. I'm like, bro, I didn't even plan that. We just looked and thought of that in the car right there. It's crazy.
I saw that video and like, I'm sitting there like, I can't even like, I mean, you can go in places and look like you know what you're doing, but what was that like? Like, I mean, was that after the game, during the game? Like, what was that like? Because my anxiety would be through the roof.
The first like half of it was just kind of like vlog experience in the game, like what we're doing. It was fun. Like the Dodgers game's always lit because like they're really good, and 50,000 people will be there even on like a Monday night. So like that was fun. We're talking to cool people, and then I tried to add some like stakes to it. So I was like, in the beginning, I tried to say like, hey, whoever's right about the score gets to get first choice about where they get to hide. So that was kind of like my idea to like keep people watching that whole part to see like, oh, who's going to get first choice to hide. And then once I was right, I got it right, no big deal. And then I got first choice, so I chose the bathroom. And I tried to tease the bathroom earlier in the video, like someone knocking on the bathroom door. Like I did like a quick coming up segment of like me like, oh, just in the bathroom. So yeah, it was just kind of like that. And I just, again, we just filmed everything and kind of like put it together after like the editing and stuff. But the idea was just like, we're all going to split up, hide as long as we can and vlog our perspectives. And so whoever is last wins. And it was me. Not to spoil it, it was me. But yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
No, it was the craziest video. I've never seen anyone do that before. Like, no one have the balls to do it, nor like actually do like that. It was so fun to watch. And I can imagine that like you'd probably look at it and you'd be like, this is like, especially like older generations, like, I don't know about this. And then they go and watch it and they're like, this is sick. Like it was just,
so, yeah.
It was a good, it was authentic. It was entertaining. It was, and sports related in a way. It was so funny. I was like looking through, I was like seeing, that was very different than your other videos, but do you, like, do you have a strategy? Do you think that like consistency and frequency of posting is important? Do you think that the authenticity is important? Like the actual content itself, what's kind of your strategy going into like content creation?
I think for me, like, personally for me, I'm not super consistent in life. Like I have to really like try hard to like get my lifts in every week. Like I have to like convince myself on a Wednesday, like, dude, just work out. It's not like I'm just ready to go to do it. So like for videos, for me, what kind of held me accountable is, well, one, I like making videos and it's fun and it's my job. So I kind of have to, so like that's enough motivation, but also like, there's no real schedule. I choose my own schedule. So I said, hey, like, I think every Saturday I just want to have a video ready to go for the foreseeable future, which really makes us like plan a few months in ahead sometimes and like get logistics down. Leo and I are always in conversation about like, hey, our flight's booked for this video. Are we good for this one? Whatever. Like if we have a sponsor, we got to make sure the ad read is good. Like all that kind of logistical stuff I'm always thinking about, which I think I'd lose track of it a little more if it was like 2 weeks between videos or 3 weeks between videos, or even closer if it was like every other day. Like it would get too much. So I think once a week is like kind of our sweet spot right now, where it's like I have enough time to like edit it or film it, edit it, get a thumbnail, title, make a short for it, and then post it, then restart that process. So anything
and also
else
have a life.
And well, yeah, this is like, mostly have a life.
Yeah.
I mean, like
also like video, get your pump in.
Yeah, like I have to do that. Like if I don't do that, I mean, I should do that. Like for me, if it was up to me, I'd just sit to my computer all day and watch YouTube and edit. Like I could think naturally an introvert, but if there's a video like we're gonna do, like I can turn on my extrovert, like, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Like I can do that. So like it forces me out of my comfort zone a little bit, which is fun. So yeah, it's like, but like I wasn't always like that. Like I just had to like learn that over time.
So I listened.
So it sounds like speaking to a camera by yourself is really what you were destined to do.
I think it's a good skill to have. Like, you know when like you do a
Yeah.
school assignment and they're like make a video and it like was the most awkward thing, like being like, hey, so, and you know you're just your teacher's gonna watch it, so it's like this is weird. I think for me that actually helped me with just speaking with people in general because like once you I film something and I'm always constantly looking at myself and seeing how I said articulated
Hmm.
a thought or what I some stupid joke I made. I have to like rewatch that and see if it was good or not. Like kind of like watching film, like
Yeah.
on sports. Like I have to do that for my videos because I'm editing them. So it kind of taught me like how to talk to people or like why do I do that weird thing? Like I don't know, just like hyper analyze that now. So I think it's helped me with like public speaking at the very least.
Yeah. It makes you think about what you're going to say before you say it, so you don't have to like worry about how you're saying it or what it means. So it's just like it makes the videos more authentic, in my opinion, because it's truly you and it's not the fake version of YouTube because people can be pretty fake. So
Yeah. The version of me I think is just like an excited like broy baseball guy.
yeah.
Like that's still part of me, but it's like for the videos I'm like all right, let's watch some baseball versus like I'm usually like kind of reserved, but like it's still a version of me. Like when I played I was more like that. I was more outgoing and as a pitcher like you're kind of the center of attention, so I was like used to that.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. So I watched one of your podcast videos on well, since I go to a D3 school, I was curious because the thumbnail was ranking D3 schools and the competition in each level and how they compare to each other. So I really enjoyed watching that video because it was a good representation of how like most people don't really pay attention to how D2 and D3 baseball is because D1's the only one that gets the press and the notoriety. So it was good to actually see someone talk about how you can still have good competition at every level and people still get drafted from every level. Because we played Salisbury last year and there was scouts at our game scouting Kavi Coster, who's now at
They won
Georgetown.
the championship last year, right?
Uh,
Did they win? Yeah.
I maybe 2 years ago, and then we played
Two years ago,
Hopkins is in
yeah.
our conference, so they're always in the national championship in the final eight or in the national championship series. So it was good to watch that. Did you think about doing that video ahead of time, or was it like how did you get the information to like? Because I know you were committed to a D2 school, so you understand the behind the scenes of what D2 is actually like. Um, but like, was that a video you thought of doing for a while? Did you want to do it to let people know like there's other options instead of just going to these big D1 schools?
Yeah, that was back when I was doing the podcast with Joe because
Hmm.
Joe, I don't know if Joe's committed then, but he ended up committing to a D3 school. He was getting mostly D3 looks, but like he's a dog, bro. Like he was our leadoff hitter. He led our team in home runs, average, all that thing. That was when I was doing my post grad
Hmm.
year. But the problem was he's like 5'5". Like he just would not get looks. But like he lifted just as much as us. He was faster than all of us, but he just wasn't getting the looks. So he was only getting D2 and D3 looks. Plus he was a little injury prone. But like we all knew he was a D1 caliber player. Like everybody on the team knew it. So we were like thinking of ideas for the podcast, and that one I think it might have been episode 2 or 3, where it was like, "This is something we should really talk about." And I remember those clips doing really well because a lot of people were like disagreed. They were like, "No, like there are like D1s, whatever." And I think what our kind of point was saying like, no, like there's like D1 has more of the talent, like there's more depth, but like there's ballers on at every level, and that's true for all sports. Like every level, there's gonna have people either slip through the cracks or like are at a certain place for whatever reason. So that was a fun video to make. I remember that one still picks up in views over time. I think it's at like 30,000 or something on a podcast, which is a lot. Like at the time, it was only like 1,000 or 2,000 when we first made it. So that tells me like it's a topic that like resonates with
Hmm.
a good amount of people because they're like, oh, I want to watch that. So yeah, that was a fun episode.
Well, I think, I mean, it's in any sport. Especially baseball is really hard because out of you get drafted out of college or high school or wherever, and you go straight into the NFL or the NBA. Like you go straight into it. Baseball, you have to work so hard to get through the farm system and get through the minor leagues and like all of that. And so if Luke, for example, went to a D3 school and he is also very talented. And it's people who are, vertically not inclined who just don't get looks because of their
I'm
height.
vertically
And
I'm vertically challenged.
As am
Yeah.
I. Like as a pitcher, like I was short. Like I was lucky I was a lefty, but like it just sucks. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
like some people get the image in their head because like I went to high school with Jackson Merrill, so like I I understand how this happens. Like people get and they see and they know these people that get drafted out of high school, or they go D1 and get drafted out of college their junior year, and they get all these looks and have all these scouts going. So they think that that's attainable for everybody, and they think that that's the only way. But they don't realize like there's other ways to get there. You can go D3 and get drafted. You can go D2 and get drafted. You can go JUCO and get drafted. Like it the competition is going to be good no matter what. And if you're good enough, they're going to find you. So I just think that
It's true. I mean,
it's
yeah.
an important topic, but yeah.
Yeah, I like
100%.
topics
I
like
totally
that.
agree.
You
That was
know,
like a
the
big topic on
ones.
my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I like. You know, your content is very. It's a niche audience that you have, but you hit all the generations. You hit the older people. You hit the younger generation. You also hit the MLB players. You hit the fans. How? I mean, do you have any sort of idea how that happened, or is it just you have the ideas in your head of what you want to see and what you think people want to see, and it happens to hit those audience members?
Yeah, like I think for baseball it's funny because there's just so many different groups of fans. Like there's 8-year-olds who love Max Clark and are like in these little league tournaments, and their parents put them in every perfect game tournament possible. And then there's like 60-year-olds who are like maybe not even they didn't even play baseball growing up. They just love the sport because it was when
Mm-hmm.
they were 15 it was like the biggest thing in the country. So it's cool. It's interesting because my goal is to kind of make like niche content, but for a large group of people, which seems kind of like it doesn't match. But for baseball, I think it
Mm-hmm.
can. And for sports in general, they kind of transcend like generations. And obviously, YouTube's a younger audience. So like our stuff caters towards younger kids. But the goal ideally is like if I did a podcast with Bryce Harper, like I think a 12-year-old would be just as interested in that as like a 40-year-old who knew Bryce Harper growing up. So like ideas like that, I'm always trying to think of like what would really transcend like generations. But sometimes it's just like the overnight video probably has a lot of older people. Like there's actually a lot of boomer comments that are like, "Oh, look at these bros doing this overnight challenge." And that when I get comments like that, I'm like, I know I'm hitting the audience. So like that's
Yeah.
good. There's probably a few
Yeah,
boomers who liked it. So at the
Hey,
very
they're
least,
watching
I'm
it.
doing
That's all that
something right.
matters.
and leaving a
Yeah.
comment, which helps with the algorithm. So I don't want to tell them that though. But yeah, like stuff like that. I'm just always thinking of like. I don't know, like what would be a video where if I'm scrolling, I go, yo, I need to watch that. Like I'm just trying to constantly think of like those sort of ideas for my niche.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think it's
Do you
good.
reach out
Yeah.
to do you reach out to, so obviously I know that you have a producer that reaches out, but do you, I guess, reach out to brands or the facilities of the teams or the MLB players? Like, is that through your producer? Do you communicate with him on that? Like, what does that kind of process look like?
It really depends. Like usually for like logistical stuff on videos, Leo will like work with the whoever's operation staff or like we did a video like with the Giants, like San Francisco Giants like hooked us up with like really good tickets, and like we were talking to their like social media coordinator, and Leo was kind of planning all that, which is funny because then he got sick and couldn't make it to the video, so it was just us. But he did all the planning. But like for trips and stuff, he books the flights and all that. I just like he kind of just confirms like, does this look good? And I'm like, I think it looks good. And we just book it. So I trust him a lot with that kind of stuff, which really frees me up to do like creative, like just editing and thinking of good ideas. So like that helps a lot. Just like I can just pretty much focus on the creative. And then I'm signed with like a management agency called Night Media, which does all the brand deals. And that's cool because we're like, there's some really cool people signed the Knights, like Jesser and Ryan Trahan and Danny Duncan. Like there's some really big people. So like we're kind of like a smaller fish in that pond, which is cool because they kind of think of like growing with us. They're invested early, so they bring us all the brand deals, and I kind of just go like, oh yeah, that fits, or maybe that doesn't fit, and I'll pitch an idea to them like, yo, for this event, you think we could get a sponsorship kind of thing. So it's all like a project to project or video to video basis, but like yeah, it's like a whole team. It's really fun to like collaborate with other people on these ideas. I know it's usually just my face in the thumbnail, but it's like so many other people are involved in
Mhm.
making the videos happen, which is it's fun to be a
Right.
part of.
Oh, I'm sure it's cool to see. I'm sure it's cool to see the ideas from other people, whether it's the management team, whether it's the fans speaking to you through the comments, or your team themselves, like coming up with ideas and putting their 2 cents in, because it makes the videos and the content better because it's more well rounded. Like nobody knows everything, and you're fantastic at what you do, but having other people kind of like make it even better, is how you're growing. I mean, completely. Which I think is really cool. And I like that there's so many people behind the scenes. But okay, so I have to ask,
No,
what
yeah.
was it like to spend a week with Max Clark in Indiana and getting invited to document his draft day?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was wild because that video we had did one Max or maybe two Max Clark videos before that, and they just banged. Like they were like, and I'm like, oh, we got to do. I like people would say like you're glazing. It's like yeah, but like bro, these videos are banging. Like I gotta like, what am I gonna do? Not make the videos?
Yeah.
So it's like we were like, okay, let's do like a big one instead of just doing like going to a game and just like glazing. We were like, let's do a big cool like cinematic sort of video, make it about the fans and all that kind of stuff versus just like Max. So we went out for like 4 or 5 days. I just called it a week, but it was like 5 days in Indiana. Went to like the practices, met all the kids on his team. We got to go like we went to their head coach's like farm, and he showed us like he's like, yep, this is the cattle. We're gonna slaughter this one later. We're like, okay, cool. Like middle of nowhere, Indiana. We're just like, yep, people do. We got to ride on their ATVs and stuff. Like it was very like Midwest kind of vibes. So that was a fun video, and it did really well. And like it was cool because I knew it was going to do well because Max was in the title and thumbnail, so we could really just have fun and be free and like kind of tell different sort of stories within it. And that kind of bled into like our generational mini doc. A lot of that we filmed at that trip, so it was like kind of the story of like different generations in baseball and like Bryce Harper to Max Clark and what's kind of happened in between there, and like how people are growing on social media and becoming bigger stars there than they would be on the field. So stuff like that, and then eventually it ended with us going to his draft day at his house, which was sick. So that was again back in Indiana, and yeah, that was crazy, dude. Like seeing it was like a small little living room, seeing his name get called and his family just freaking out, and then learning after it's like, wow, he got an $8 million signing bonus. Like that's crazy. Like that the dude's
That's
18, and we're just like
wild.
at his house, like we're just like this is so sick. And we just vlogged. Like it wasn't like cinematic. It was just like me and the camera. Like whoa, this is crazy. And I think that people like that where it's just like authentic. Which is
Mm-hmm.
cool. Like it's cool that you can do that on YouTube. It doesn't have to be like overly produced. It can just be a sick moment that you caught and put some music behind it, and it's like makes for a great piece of content. So I'm like striving to do more of that because like a lot of it's hard with like heavy lifts, like big projects that get kind of stressful and make it less fun. So like, but those kind of lead to doing ones where I can just show up with a camera and it's like a banger concept.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm kind of striving for. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was I remember following him
That's so
from his
sick.
like sophomore year of high school on to when he got drafted, and he just gained so much popularity and his stock went up through the roof his junior since senior
Yep.
year. But that's incredible that you were there for the moment. You had to capture the moment and got to see the reactions of his family and his friends for the biggest moment of their lives, which I think is something that you don't normally see as authentic as it is. Like the MLB will have cameras in their houses, but they don't get to see it from one of the other people's point of views, and it being the whole week or day ahead of time. The whole like that's just more authentic than anything else that you could possibly get. So I think that's a good thing for the average kid or person to see.
It was fun, dude. Like, and this year we're going to be at the draft in Arlington because like it's sick. MLB is like starting to do more stuff with like whatever you want to call it, content creators, influencer people. I don't even know what to call it. They're like buying our flights to go there, which is sick.
That's
So we're going to go to the draft. I'm not going to turn that down. But also, it's like, man, being in someone's house on draft day when they're like a top 5 pick, that's just a different type of thing that I'll never forget. But I'm really excited this year because MLB is starting to go kind of like NBA, NFL style with their like combine and making it like a big event versus just like some private little thing that they never really showcased. So I love
Mm-hmm.
being a part of that. We did like the combine video last year and did really well. And I think that was, again, it was like another proof of concept of like, oh, like this YouTube thing, like we could do more MLB stuff with it. So yeah, man, the draft is really cool. That's like one of the coolest things about baseball is like the draft itself.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh, it's the
in
coolest thing
I
ever.
know
And yeah,
I know what your that the what you've done in the past, what you're doing now. Where do you want to see the channel and the content go in the future? Like, do you have anything in mind? How like what you want to do with it? Where you want to go? People you want to interview?
I mean, dude, I have like talk about ideas. I have so many. I have like a document where I'll just like have it. I have it open on my phone all the time, and I'll just like if I think of something, I just add to it, and then like later in the night I'll like restructure it and like take out the bad ones, but like keep just a list of ideas, videos that we could do that are good for like the summer, some that are good for like the fall, next summer, whatever. And I just kind of parcel them out like that. But like goals are just like make the best videos I can and like keep improving, which is like hard to like, you know, objectively like that just being more views every video. But for me, it's just like improve something every video where I can look back and be like, wow, that video is definitely better than ones I was making a month or 2 or 3 months ago. That could just be from the packaging, like the thumbnail title, like this is a more engaging video to click on, all the way up to like the editing and the storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So, and then with that comes hopefully more views and subscribers and opportunities and all that. But I think I take a lot of inspiration from the guys like Mr. Beast, who are like this is their like life. It's like making YouTube videos, and their thing is just like, hey, every time you make a video, just make it the best video you can, and then like your whole kind of world opens up because you have so many more opportunities or places to go or people to meet. So it's just like focus on the video, make it the best piece of content you can, and then usually good things happen from that. You know.
That's so awesome. And do you
That's
want to
awesome. Yeah.
be? Do you see it being your career, like making a career out of it in the future?
Yeah, like it's funny because for a while, like I mean, even me, like for the money we make off it, I still reinvest everything into like the team. Like I try to pay them well because they're like I want them to be motivated to like want to keep doing it. I mean, Leo goes to UCLA, so like I have to like he's gonna have a job in a year and a half, or he could have a job in a year and a half. So my goal is to like get to a point where I'm paying him a competitive salary versus whatever UCLA a law student would make. So like that's a goal I have. And Tony, same thing. He's our videographer. Like he worked at Lids for like his whole life. So I'm like, I just want to pay him more than Lids paid him and give him more upside. So like I do a lot for my team and those guys because they're like my best friends too. But I reinvest in the videos, like traveling, like all that's out of, if we get a sponsor, that's great, but most of it's out of pocket up first. So I can like be in control of the flights and all that stuff. And we know what we're going into filming. And then if we can make some money back on the back end, like off the views and stuff, that's great because then we can cover our costs. But yeah, like I'd love to make it a career. Like just, I always want to make YouTube videos. I just love YouTube. It's such a fun like platform and it's just getting bigger. And then I also would love to do like feature documentaries, like bigger stuff, like 30 for 30 style things, or like Anthony Bourdain. I don't know if you guys ever saw that, where it's like a guy going somewhere and experiencing something, kind of like Gonzo journalism style, where you're like talking to the people and then going back and telling the story, and like do that in the sports world. So that's kind of like the new video I've been working on. Is sort of like that. We went up to Oakland for the A's, which was fun. But yeah, like just keep doing that and getting better and having like every now and then there's just opportunities that I'm like, oh my god, like how is this even happening? So I just want to keep making more of those.
Well, it's refreshing to hear how grounded you are. We both know people that are in California and pursuing and successful, but sometimes it's hard to stay grounded, especially as a successful young person. And seeing the growth and the money and the experiences, you seem very grateful for it all, and that keeps you grounded and humble, and you have a very large work ethic, which is really nice as well. So appreciate that, because not, and
I appreciate it.
kind of going from what you said at the beginning, hearing it's actually really accurate. Like the people you see on YouTube, you feel like you know them rather than like celebrities and baseball players and whatever that you feel like you don't know. You're like, oh, I'm a fan of them, but I don't really know what happens like outside of their home run celebration. Like there's nothing you really see. Do you think that, first of all, do you agree with that statement? Second of all, do you want to kind of, it sounds like you kind of want to uncover that like behind the scenes with your interviews and your 30 for 30 idea and your YouTube videos that you have now? Is that kind of like one of the angles that you want to go towards?
Yeah, like for me, like I said, like the people I grew up like really like idolizing as people, not just as like athletes, were like the guys in Phase and like all the YouTubers I'd watch because they did daily vlogs. Like Casey Neistat did daily vlogs. I felt like I knew this guy. Like it was just every single day you come home from school and I'd watch Logan Paul, Casey Neistat, and I'm like, I want to buy their t-shirts. I want to buy their whatever, like their merch. And it's just like, it's different than being an athlete, because an athlete kind of, you look at it, you're like, oh, that's kind of untouchable. Like I can't really get to there. I can just idolize it. Whereas like these YouTube people, you kind of like, oh, we're all just people and they have a really cool life. I can strive to do that, but like they're just filming and having fun as well. So, but with that said, like athletes are just people too. So I want to be able to tell those stories in a way where like it humanizes everyone. Like we all are just like, oh wow, this is like a really cool story that connects you with a person. Then you become a fan of them, not just on the field, but of like their personality and what they stand for. So like ideally, that's what I wanted to do with like the Max Clark stuff. Moving forward, like I'd love to do more like just feature mini docs on like personalities or like teams, like like a youth team or something, and we get to learn all about the players' lives and stuff. I think that would be sick. But yeah, kind of having that like me being like the bridge between like the player and the fan. Like I can tell the story and talk to both sides and be like, oh look, like we're all chilling. That's like my goal ultimately.
I love
Yeah, no, I
that.
think that's a great idea.
I would love to see the behind the scenes of all those MLB players.
Yeah, and like the youth team, I think that sounds like an awesome idea. Those kids would dig that like crazy, and it would be like I mean, I don't know, like a scout team that'd be too old, but they do have some young scout teams out there, but those kids would love to be on the YouTube and make like to see how it would make them feel like they're one of the famous YouTubers out there or influencers, or make them feel like they're getting somewhere, and it maybe will help them along the way think that they can achieve the dreams that they have. So I think that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
little
think
kids.
I
I
just want to
mean,
unlock something in my head. I could do some like youth
yeah,
team thing.
Yeah,
yeah. Our
that'd be
nephews,
awesome.
one of our nephews, tells us every day he wants to be a YouTuber when he gets older, and I think it's so
That's
fun
awesome.
that's like a yeah. He was like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber, and he watches YouTube all the time. So I was
Yeah.
like, you go
And
for
it's
it,
like
dude.
it's
You're
weird
gonna
to
be
like
successful.
we're waiting for the day where he just stumbles upon one of our old vlogs that we made when we were used to do YouTube, or one of the vlogs that Bertaley did when we were on them, and he'll just text us and be like, "Oh, by the way, I saw you guys did a vlog on YouTube." Like that'll be the weirdest thing. But yeah, like that the everybody thinks like you make YouTube influencers and vlogs, I feel like you actually get to understand the person's life and you really do feel like you're friends with them. Which I think is a cool thing because it's like a connection that you can't get with an athlete, but with what you're doing, you're trying to bridge the gap between feeling like that person is untouchable and unrelatable because they're so high up and above everybody else because they're making millions of dollars playing a sport, but at the same time, they're just normal people and that you can connect with them in many ways that you probably didn't think you could have if you didn't know who they were as a person. Um, so I think that's incredible that you get to do that and get to bring these famous people's lives to everybody else in not a serious kind of setting where it's just like you guys have just having fun. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
That's
really
fun.
cool. Well, we're going to wrap up the episode with some rapid fire questions. So we have 5 questions for you. All right. So the first question is, who is your favorite music artist?
Favorite all time, J. Cole.
Okay.
J. Cole's my favorite all time. But then if you look below, Childish Gambino is right there too. I have like my favorite album of all time is Because the Internet. It's like Childish Gambino 2013. I literally have Because the Internet. Like I have it tattooed. Like I just love that album. But overall, J. Cole is my favorite. Like he got me into like the conscious kind of hip hop scene or whatever. But yeah, like J. Cole, Childish Gambino are like 1A and 1B.
Those are good choices. Really, really
Can't
good
say I've
choices.
listened to J. Cole
Okay.
or but I'm not a big
Yeah.
rap guy, so but I do like rap. I just don't like listen to them religiously. But yeah, sorry.
I respect it.
Now you
Yeah,
have
no.
to.
Yeah.
Now you have to.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
start
Who
listening to J.
is your
Cole
favorite
now. I have
athlete?
to, yeah.
He's good. He's good. Oh, athlete. All time, it's weird. Cameron Wake. He was like a defensive end for the Dolphins from like 2010 to like 2016. Because I'm a Dolphins fan, so like he was like the best player in the Dolphins when they sucked, and I was like just a kid growing
Hmm.
up, and like I bought his jerseys and stuff. But like currently, probably I love Giannis. Giannis is so cool. Like his story is really cool. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was like I really liked him, and like when he first got drafted because he had a crazy name, and then I just kind of followed along with him to like And then I should probably do a baseball one too. Baseball, Lance, like I'll do Lance McCullers because he's the one I actually like know and was like the first person I kind of met.
I love Giannis. Giannis is
He's
a good
important
guy,
to you.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
people don't really know that he wasn't always the best guy and the top MVP type player that he is. People overlooked him from day one. So the fact that he's where he is just shows who he is. But yeah, he's a great guy. That's a good.
He's from
Yeah,
Greece. Like his story
yeah,
is crazy. Like he was living on the streets almost, and with like 4 brothers. It's
hmm
crazy. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a long story.
Yeah. Next
All right, my
question,
next
Sid.
question is, who is your favorite MLB team?
Red Sox from Boston. I'm from New Hampshire, so like
Yeah,
Red Sox are kind of my team. Fenway's like my home city, but I've gone to way more Dodgers games over the last 2 years just because I live here. But I'm starting to like the Dodgers a lot, but it's like that's bandwagon. I can't. Like I'll just. It's a professional relationship with the Dodgers, but Red Sox is more
It is. It
personal.
is strictly professional. Yes.
Strictly
Okay.
professional.
I mean, this is kind of, what sports do you follow other than baseball?
Football is like my favorite. Like my uncle and my dad are in the group chat right now, blowing it up, trying to figure out what game we're going to next year, what Dolphins game. Because it was like we always go to like an away game to visit like a new city or something, and they're diehard Dolphins fans. So like they're like, should we go to Seattle? Should we go to LA? I'm like, from here it's easier, but they pay for all my stuff when we go, so I kind of want to go somewhere else. But yeah, Dolphins
That's
is
true.
like my team. The Dolphins like my team, and then Celtics. Like I like watching basketball, but I like players more. Like basketball and baseball are more like I become fans of players, whereas football is like more of a team thing. But sorry,
Hmm.
long answer. But yeah,
Absolutely. No, it's okay. I figured it'd be a long answer.
I
It's
can
kind of an
ramble.
open-ended question. Yeah, so can we. It's okay.
I
Yeah.
do. I do get that
All
though.
right,
Like
last
baseball is
question. Oh,
more
go ahead.
individualized. No, I said I get that because baseball's more individualized. I feel like baseball is it's an individualized team sport, and same with basketball. And football, I feel like it's more how all 11 are doing at the same time. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
also
it's like the
individualized. But
ultimate team
yeah,
sport. Yeah, yeah.
100%. Plus, there's so many trades that happen in baseball. It's kind of hard to like be like, oh, I love this team, and then it changes 3 years later. Um, but yeah. All right. Last question, which I think everyone who wants to go to LA or has been to LA would love to know. What is your favorite go-to place to eat in Los Angeles?
Chipotle. No, like I do go to Chipotle right now. But
yes,
dude, we went to
Chipotle is
we
the
went
best place in the
so.
world.
Do you guys know Nobu? Have you heard of Nobu?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
It's like this
Oh,
really like high end sushi place in Malibu that like everyone it's like all the influencer celebrity thing. So my friend was visiting from New Zealand with his sister, and his younger sister was like, "We have to go to Nobu and whatever we have to." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll just like tag along with them because I'd never been." And like for 4 of us, it was like $700, bro. It was so expensive, but it was good. But like
God,
I would, yes,
what?
it was crazy. They got more expensive stuff because they're pretty well off. So like their meals together were probably like 500, but mine was still like 100, 150,
Two
bro. It was
hundred and
like
fifty
it was
dollars
a
for
lot,
a meal? That's absurd.
bro. Like little stuff. It's like the joke where it's like little meal on a big plate. Like that's what everyone is there. It's
Oh
hilarious.
my
So that's not my
God.
go-to.
I
I
was like,
just
I'd
went there
like to be
once like a
full,
month ago.
please. Yeah, I'll go to
Oh
Yeah,
my.
seriously.
Chipotle and get,
We were like, we should just get In and Out after.
I think Chipotle is too
right.
expensive, but like I'll go to like a double T diner or something, like just something where they give me a lot of food for a cheap amount of
Yeah,
money because I want to be full for not going into my entire bank account and taking it
Two
all out.
minutes.
But
yeah. I was like, was a mistake. But like, it was fun to try once. I
Def-
was like, okay with it once, but not again.
that's
right.
absurd.
Experience.
It's
You had
either
to do it. Checks
Chipotle
it
or
off the
Whole Foods
bucket
Hot
list.
Bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You can't go wrong with
It's good
Chipotle. You
stuff.
can't
It's
go
good
wrong with
stuff.
Chipotle.
Mm.
No, not at all. Not a lover, but not a hater either. So. All right, Dan. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the podcast. It was so nice to meet you. And thank you for all your amazing insight. You're incredible. And we hope to keep in contact with you sometime in the future. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. This is so fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
Appreciate it.
course.
All right. Have a good day.
Peace.
He was nice.
Oh my gosh, that was so
Make sure
fun.
you cut all this out because it's
Luke,
still recording.
Luke, you met like one
You
of your
still have it recording.
celebrity. I know.
Yeah, you still have it
We have
recording,
to
by the
end
way.
it out.
Okay. Oh,
Luke, we
I'm
have to
sorry.
end
I
it.
didn't know we were still ending it out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. No, yeah,
And
I
I got to
have
cut it
watched
all
him for like the
out. There was
last.
nothing in there I had
No,
to cut out.
stop. But yeah, I've watched him for like the last 3 years. So that was I actually thoroughly enjoyed that interview. That was pretty cool because I've watched every single one of his um facility tours. Um, and then I've watched like since I'm a D3 player, I brought up the video that I watched of him talking about how you can get good competition no matter what, and good players can be no matter what division you're in. It's like speaking of like our conference, like Johns Hopkins is one of the best Division 3 teams in the country, and they have MLB scouts at half their games, if not all of them. Um,
It's true.
so like it's amazing. Like we played Salisbury 2 years ago, my freshman year, or last year, and they had a kid named Kavi Koster who was getting scouted by the Nationals, the Orioles, and the Pirates. They had all three scouts there. He ended up not going. He wanted to take a fifth year first at a Division 1 school, but the fact that he had scouts at a Division 3 school just says that no matter where you are, you'll get seen. Um, and to see that
Hmm.
on YouTube, because usually people just think, oh, it's just D1, it's just Power 5. It's not like, oh, I can't go to like UMBC or a Towson or like some of the smaller schools like Eastern Connecticut State or like there's so many like Oral Roberts that made it to the College World Series a couple years ago. That's a small
Hmm.
D1 school in New Jersey. So like it just shows that there's plenty of talent out there. It just matters if you get seen. It's not all about going to
It's true.
SEC or Big 12 or ACC schools. Just sometimes
No,
you're not
I mean,
always seen
honestly,
as much as you think you are.
scouts, right. And scouts' job is to go to all the high schools and the
Hmm.
D2s and the D3s. They all have scouting days, so it works out perfectly. But that was
Yeah,
awesome. I liked
it's good.
he has a an insight into players, kind of the same reason that I wanted to do this podcast, to kind of get the behind the scenes of people in the sports industry. So that's pretty awesome. That was really cool.
Yeah,
All right,
he's
wrapping it
got
up
some
with our fun
insights that are
fact of
really
the
good.
day.
Go
Yeah.
for it. Hit me. Hit me with what you
All
got.
right. How old was Rory McIlroy when he got his first hole in one?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask when he got his first tour win because I know that answer. Um, when he got his first hole in one, I'll say because he's
I don't.
good.
No offense, I don't think you're gonna get it right.
Can I get three guesses? It's a lot. He's like 34 years old or 30
Yeah. Yeah.
something years
Yeah.
old. Can I
Yeah.
get a,
Go ahead.
I'll get three guesses. Three guesses. Um, let's go with 7.
No.
Okay. Um, 15.
No.
Damn it. Um, I got to sneeze. Just FYI, I'm trying to hold it in. Um, I'm like gonna start crying in a second. um,
I can see it. Your eyes are
um,
barely open.
I'm trying so hard not to sneeze right now. Um,
It's making my eyes water.
20.
No, you progressively got worse. Um,
What was it, like
the
2?
the answer is 9. 9.
9? Oh
9.
my
He was
God,
9.
I was close on the first guess.
You were. I was like, oh, he's just
Damn.
gonna do 7, 8, 9. No, no, he went all the way up to 20.
I'm not just gonna
Well,
go 7, 8, 9. I gotta spread out the range a little bit. I can't just go 7, 8, 9. Be like, oh, I'm only gonna hit like one period of his life when he just started playing golf. Like I've been playing golf my entire
it's
life,
true.
don't have a hole in one. I'm not good, but that's beside the point. My dad's played golf his entire life, been a scratch golfer since he was 15, and has one hole in one, and it was when he was 34, 33 years old, like, and hasn't had one since. So they're so rare. And like Tiger Woods hasn't had one in like 15 years. So it's like they're so rare.
Yeah.
It's 9.
Rory's another breed.
Yeah, I haven't went into PGA this week, so
Put a ring
it's
on it,
either him or
Rory.
it's either him or Scotty. I don't see anybody else winning it. Those are the two hottest golfers on the planet right now. So That's who I have winning it.
This is true.
Also, by the way, have you heard the thunder outside this video?
Oh, I know.
That's been loud.
Yeah.
I've been very tempted to look
really
outside
loud.
because you know me in thunderstorms. It's one of the prettiest things in the world, and I've been so tempted to just like peek out the window. But yeah, I think it's past now because I haven't heard rain or anything in a little bit. But yeah.
No, it did pass, but it's cool outside.
I did hear a bunch of
Anyway.
motorcycles pass by. There's probably in the video. So yeah, but
We'll fix it. All right. Well, thank you all for joining on today's podcast, and we will see you next week when the Game Changers podcast returns. Bye.
peace.